Hello, I'm Pastor Katie, and this is the devotional for Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Last month, DR and I spent a few days in my hometown of Leavenworth, Kansas, visiting with my siblings, two sisters and a brother. We lost a brother to cancer last year, so it was just the four of us. I'm not sure when all four of us had last been together, but it had been a long time. My oldest sibling, Jim's daughters, Karen and Joanne, arranged this gathering. I tease my sisters especially that one is much older and the other much, much older than I. The older one is, in fact, 15 and a half years younger than I, and the younger 8.5 years older. Jim is close to 20 years older than I am. So while it was wonderful for us to spend time together, and while it meant a lot, I think, to all of us, the truth is that it was never a normal, everyday occurrence for the four of us to be together. By the time I was born, Jim was off at college, and he and I never lived together under the same roof. And I don't have memories of living with Carol either. She married before I turned 4, but even before that, her involvement with school, lots of activities, and a job meant that she wasn't home much when I was awake. I do have lots of memories of my other sister, Mary, and my brother, Mike, who died last year. Some of the best of those memories were when I spent time one-on-one with them. I remember times, especially on rainy weekends, when I was maybe 4 or 5. So Mary and Mike, who were twins, would have been 12 or 13, when Mike spent time helping me build with Lincoln logs. I remember Sunday afternoons watching movies on TV. And when I got to be a little older, I remember evenings with Mary eating fast food and spending a little time cruising 4th Street because, well, you know, that's what you did in the late 60s in a smallish town. But in many ways, my siblings and I don't have a lot in common. Our age difference means that we have very different memories, even of who our parents were and what our hometown was like. As I mentioned in the newsletter's Pastor's Ponderings, we spent time while we were home driving around town visiting Memory Lane, but Memory Lane was different for me than for my siblings. And yet, well, we're all family. It's undeniable. Probably anyone can tell by looking at us. Mary and I actually look a lot alike, although she has brown eyes and before the gray had brown hair. Carol, Jim, and I all have, well, used to have, the red blonde hair, blue eyes, and super fair skin. More than that, though, there's something that connects us, despite the differences in our ages, our memories, and experiences of family and hometown, our personalities. You probably know that family connection too. Maybe your family connection is much stronger than mine, maybe less strong. But there's something about family, isn't there? There's something about the connection that vibrates among family members, about the sound we make when we gather, the family stories that we share, the laughter, sometimes the tears. There's a hum that happens with family, a hum that echoes around the room, a hum you carry with you when you part. And it's not just with siblings. My nieces, who, as I mentioned, planned this gathering and drove my brother to Leavenworth, shared it too. And I can hear a similar hum when I'm with other family members or the friends who are so close that they are like family. DR and I met his brother and sister-in-law for dinner one evening while we were in the neighborhood, and the hum builds when we're with them too. We also met an old high school friend of mine and her husband, and though we are very, very different people, I could hear the hum of a connection that goes back 50 years. This hum of connection got me thinking about the bigger family, the human family. What is it that keeps us from experiencing something similar? What is it that makes us suspicious and hateful toward one another rather than lends us an ear to hear the hum of human family? I'm convinced that if we really understood our connection, we would open ourselves to hear the hum, to feel the connection. But it's hard because, as we know, sometimes even within our nuclear biological families, the hum is stopped, the connection severed. How much harder to be open to that connection with those who are from not only different homes and different places, but different cultures and vastly different experiences. What I'm still pondering can help us hear the hum. I invite you to ponder it too. I leave you today with a poem I ran across while I was on study leave last month, just before we headed to Leavenworth. Written by D. Keith Naylor, it is called In Church. It appeared in the March 10, 2021 issue of Christian Century. Please listen with me. In church. Pew-bound at 9 in a Midwestern Black Baptist church, I, whose childhood fidgeting was in part a longing for a wider world, listened to the congregation of sisters and brothers humming. They abandoned the well-worn words to the songs of faith for the spiritual splendor of sounds welling up in human bodies, sounds beyond or prior to soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, harmonizing melody and moan, connecting themselves to each other and to their God like electric current. As the preacher urged the gathered to tarry in the Spirit, I heard round after round of humming, which seemed to usher seated folks who faced enduring trouble in the land toward a deep cavern that embraced them with walls vibrating their own sounds back to themselves, a sacred sight that matched their own depth. That cavern of sounds, lush, organic, expansive, yet settling, drew me in, surpassing my Sunday school instruction, and I could hear myself humming.